Advani from Global Foray is now joining us. Pashupati, good afternoon. Good to have you with us here. Thank you very much for your time. I don't know if you own any insurance stocks, but one after the other over the last 2 weeks or so, we've reported on some 3-4 stories. Our colleague Yash was talking about the story, and a lot of this is now focused on sort of changing how distribution of insurance products is done. Earlier, till now, till about a month, 2 months back, all the regulation was focused on products themselves. Now it's all distribution. So there is a bit of a shake-up happening in the industry. Just your thoughts here. Pashupati, if you've looked at these stories, you've heard Yash, go on.
Obviously, the government wants insurance to be in everyone's hands. And then the investment from that insurance has to come back into the markets, both fixed income as well as equity. So that's a win-win from the government's perspective. You're mentioning LIC. I've been in and out of it, but it's been a bit of a disappointment because it was up at 1100 plus, and now it's back to 3 figures. So it's a little bit disappointing because I guess people feel that they'll lose market share to the newer players. But at the end of it all, I think the general idea is that government wants insurance to go to the next tier of people, and hopefully, there's also talk about the Income Tax Act getting rewritten and with some things like that. So under the current act, if you're in the new system, you don't get any incentive for owning insurance. Maybe with the new act, it'll come back, because that's what I've been told. So again, that'll bring a boost back to the insurance companies, and that'll make them start writing policies again.
Prashant? Hi, Pashupati. Thoughts on Cipla and this stake sale that we're seeing today by the promoters?
Well, the promoters of Cipla, they've been very solid, but there aren't, the eldest promoter doesn't have any kids. So I think that, they want to try and start a family office. They've always been good about giving money away. I think Mr. Hamid Sr. may have actually signed the giving pledge. So I think part of that is, to now give back to the public with real money. So I'm not surprised to see it. And, it is a company that's doing well, so why not? And hopefully one of the other pharma companies may come in and buy the whole thing at some point. It's possible.
Hi, Mr. Advani. Good afternoon. Good to see you. When I believe that you're positive on cement as well. We have Dipan, who's not very, very comfortable with it. And well, Mr. Anil Singhvi, who joined us earlier today, and he was saying that things are not yet picking up, though he remains hopeful. So tell us, what do you like in cement? Point number one. And on this pharma point, you're liking a couple of companies, chemical companies that supply pharmaceuticals. So tell us about that as well, if you could name a couple of stocks.
Well, so let me talk about cement first. First of all, the cement part, government is, hell-bent on continuing the infrastructure. They may have slowed down a little bit, waiting for a little bit of a breather. But, today's prices means there's something coming with the cement industry, because all of them are up. So I think some sop is coming for them, or maybe the government's going to give more orders or something like that. But, we do need to complete roads. We've got a lot of infrastructure spending going on with the metros, housing, so there is demand. And the reality is that, we are making, we are using. So the thing is that it's all very, great, but it'll continue to be used. So I think that that's one of the reasons why cement companies are continuing to do well. So that's number one. You mentioned about pharmaceuticals. That sector has really been a little whacked around a little bit, and people have been very unhappy with it. But I think that there is fundamentally a lot of strength in the pharmaceutical sectors. But some of the companies have actually done downstream and have bought some of the companies that supply to them, and I think those are the ones that are a little more interesting. I would, again, if I was coming into the market and I wanted to look at pharma sector, I would go for the big ones like Dr. Reddy's, maybe like Cipla also. I think those are the companies that continue. Sun Pharma. So just stay with the good ones, and I think that will pay off, because we are the pharma capital of the world, if you want to call it. The world may not think that way, but I think we do. We are.
Okay, so pharma is a space to look at. By the way, before Pashupati, hi. Before I ask my question, let me just allow to quickly check what's happening in money markets today in India and around the world. For context for our viewers, the China 10-year bond yield today has collapsed to less than 2%, because there's a growing expectation that things are so dire in China that at some point there has to be just straight out more monetary stimulus as well. Let's see whether that happens or not. That's the dollar yen. Now pull up dollar rupee. Let's come back home. We have other issues here at home. The rupee has weakened beyond. It's almost now we're talking, I think, almost touching 70. Yeah, there we go. 84.70 on the dollar rupees. That's a 0.25% move just today itself. And when we talk about the bond is interesting because the bond yield hasn't moved too much today because the market is saying, how will the RBI cut on Friday with inflation running over 6%? So that's a bit of a conundrum in terms of the money market sort of moves out there. So Pashupati, hi. Now this brings me back to the larger question, this whole piece of how the Indian economy is slowing down. And we've heard that corporates have said it, now the GDP number is saying it, etc. Now, are you betting on some sort of a stimulus, either fiscal or some kind of anti-dumping duty action, some tariff action, or maybe monetary action? And if yes, then in terms of stocks, how would you play it? Like you've liked infrastructure in the past. You've, I think, also been more optimistic on PSUs after the correction. So then what next? Because it's very complex now, the whole landscape.
So my read of this is that you've basically got a situation where the government has to continue to stimulate. I'm not seeing the kind of private sector investment that should match. I mean, there is some. It was zero a while ago. Now there is some. But I think that at the end of it all, we're not seeing the private sector jumping in. So the government has to keep spending and basically keep funding it. So I think that's very important. And if it means that they have to take on more debt, so be it. I don't think rates are going to come down too much. I think if at all, it's just a whim. And the other thing is that, with what's happening in America, I think a lot of money is looking to go back, back into America, because America looks like it's going to be interesting. America looks like they're going to put up some kind of tariffs which are going to make it good for American second-tier manufacturing to be a nice place to be. And Trump is basically warning everybody that if you don't run your world the way we want you to run it, we're going to cut you out. And then I don't know what's going to happen, but he's capable of actually. The thing is, he's doing what he's saying he was going to do, and people didn't think he was going to be able to get away with it. But I think that it looks like he is going to be able to do it. So, he's trying to stop the wars. He's trying to, tell people you cannot have a new currency that's going to take on the dollar. He's going to put China in the box. He's going to put Russia back on the box. So, I think a lot of things are going to happen come January. So
absolutely. We'll have to see what those executive orders look like when they finally start getting signed into policy and law. American exceptionalism, as they call it, right? So Russell 2000 is already up 10% in the last 1 month. We were looking at data in the morning. Anyway, now coming to stocks. So because of this complexity, would you rather stick to, you named Pharma? I don't know, would you look at some defensive names like maybe IT or something? Or would you still look at some capex plays? Any fresh names that have come to mind? See,
I'm very uncomfortable with the IT sector simply because I think that with artificial intelligence, the game is being rewritten. And I don't know if our companies with their hundreds of thousands of employees are able to write the games as fast. If we can, it'll be fantastic. If not, I think we're going to have all sorts of issues. However, we've got a very strong domestic market. And I think that's what's driving. So people are buying white goods. People are buying, FMCG is okay, but then, people are buying food and things like that. So I think that, it is one of those things that our domestic economy is going to drive any company that's domestically driven. But we can't be in a cloud. We can't be sitting out there and not be affected by what's going on. And at the end of it all, our market is driven by money flows in and out. And at the moment, I'm seeing money flows going out rather than coming in. That's just my perception. I may be wrong, but that's what I'm seeing. Despite the fact that we've added some bonds, our bonds have come into the index. Besides this, but we're having IPOs. We're having big IPOs coming through. And LIC is also looking to sell some stake as well. So let's see what happens.
Okay, all right, Pashupati, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us. Great speaking with you. It's a pleasure having you here on CNBC-TV18. It's 3:05, so we'll take a quick commercial break here. We're going to come back and we go across to Nimish on the other side for all the buzz in the dealing rooms and all the stocks where there is news flow one way or the other. So that's coming up. And of course, after that, we'll get you our buy today, sell tomorrow trading calls as well. Stay tuned.